Welcome to Mornings with Patricia. Happy Friday. Ah, I I forgot to get the name of it. I think it's Johann Hari. I'm going to say that before I forget uh, the name. So Jenny Moore posted this interesting article that Huffington posted on Johann Hari, and he wrote a book, and it's about the war against drugs, and I found it fascinating. It's a fascinating article on addictions. Um, and I'll incorporate that into a larger discussion, a larger picture. I mean, that's a pretty big picture, but a larger picture. But if you didn't get a chance to read the article, I posted it, I shared it on my Facebook. But if you didn't get a chance to read the article or see the video, I didn't share the video, but Jenny Moore did. So if you don't want to read it, you can always go to her page and uh, and read it. But anyway, what they found from a study that rats in isolation, when they gave them two different bottles, and one bottle was of water and the other had heroin in it, they would go after the heroin bottle until they killed themselves. But if they put them in a bigger cage, they called it, something like the rat park or something like that. And it was gorgeous cage, really nice with the best food and everything. And both bottles are still there. They would go through a little bit of withdrawal, but they would stop pulling on the water from the heroin. And so that I'm just going to use that because there's a lot more to the article. I really hope that you read it. But what they found was, there's the very right-wing view that, addiction is bad and people are just addicts and they need to get over it. They need to be punished. Where there's a very left view that, it's a disease. What the scientists found, and this is what I think is so interesting, that it's actually somewhere not needed those places, and I would call it like the middle way or the middle path. And that is that people who have addictions have put themselves in a very small cage, and they're not addicted to the drug or whatever it is. They are bonded with it, right? They've gotten a relationship with it. And but once they're taken out of that context and a larger group and purpose for their lives and things like that, then they let go of the addiction. So, and even people who have purpose and things like that, can be addicted. So, but are they finding their right purpose? Are they finding the thing that really feeds them? So I was thinking about the cages thing, the cages that, that we find ourselves in. And I was thinking about what I posted the other day on Facebook about allowing, and that great experience where, we were a little short this month because of extra expenses, and then and Bruce was kind of working through that, and we got a big check from the doctor and two from the insurance, and then a bill from the gas company that said, amount due, none. So when we're in that state of allowing, and I think we can look at that, that's maybe, I don't want to say a cage, but that's a bigger area to be in. That's a much bigger area. And it's the kind that serves us, and it's the kind that supports us. I will say, I think it was Portugal that made it that no drugs were illegal. And what they found was, instead of putting people in jail and going after the criminals, they took all that money and they started to help people. And they found them bonding, doing big projects together, and the rate went down by 50%. Right? That's that sort of unconditional love in our society that we can do, that makes us heaven, right? That's a practice of heaven, so that we're not penalizing people, we're supporting them. If you think about her book, I was talking to you the other day about her book Dying to Be Me, and she found in heaven on the other side, whatever that is, this unconditional love, no judgment, no nothing. That's what Portugal has done with their drug problem. You know, it's showing up and supporting and loving ourselves and each other. So I'm just wondering for you today, because I was thinking today, I was talking to Bruce about this article. I was just thinking about what are my own cages? Well, what are my small cage that I might be in? And, as I, struggle through whatever in my life, just like everybody does, whether it's thoughts or whatever. And what are the larger cages? I mean, for me, Mornings with Patricia and Sacred Space is a much larger cage. But I also think there's other big cages out there. Like when I went over to India to the Walk of Hope, it was it was a huge thing, right? International thing, and I just felt so connected. So I'm going to keep looking for those ways to feel very connected on a large scale. And because Bruce and I were talking, we love to be around people, but we're also kind of, we like our alone time. Even, from each other, we go and do our own thing. And sometimes we get too much of that. And that could be that too small of a cage for me. But I want to decide what kind of larger cage I want to explore and play in. So, and I know that nonprofit work and those sorts of things are very important to me, and to give back is very important. And I think that's why, I had to stop working at my job years ago at the state, because I just didn't, the higher up I moved, the less connected I felt like I was really helping people. So I'm just wondering for you what's your possibilities? Are you feeling, trapped in a small cage? Are you feeling alone? Do you keep going over things in your head over and over and over and can't find a way out? I know that, different communities, and I mean, tools are all around us, right? There's tools everywhere, and we can use those tools, and they can be so helpful. But if we can't get away from ourselves, that can be a very daunting task, right? And so, I always say to people, it's good if you can get into community, be surrounded by people, who really enjoy and love what they're doing. It doesn't have to just be a spiritual community, right? It can be things that are outside of the spiritual communities. Get involved. Yeah, even if you're working, find ways to get involved and to give back. And that starts to fulfill you, because when we are part of that larger purpose, when we understand and are connected to that part of the larger purpose, it really fills out our lives. And so, I think about people who retire. If you like to travel or you have something you're doing, that's great. But so many times people are just like, okay, well, I'm retired. And then they have lost their sense of purpose. So really finding ways to connect, not just to feed yourself, but to help feed others, right? Go out there with the big fork. Have you heard that, right? It says, I can't remember how the story goes, but there was a table and everybody had these huge forks. And there was their meal and they couldn't figure out. And so they finally figured out they had to use the forks to help feed each other. And that way they got fed. So I think that's, the bigger cage, or the bigger possibility. Cage is, still a sort of limited concept, but I think what they have done, with that article, and it was done by the Huffington Post, which I love. I love their work. I think we'll see more and more and more of that. It's just kind of amazing to me that here, we went through all of the things, like for addiction, we went through all of those possibilities, and somehow it was really radical when we thought that it was a disease, I'm not saying it's not, but it's always that middle path. If you're seeing an either or, and you have these big right and left things, looking down the middle can sometimes be so awakening, so liberating. And if you take that sort of philosophy, even in your own life, if you're facing this sort of, either or decision, to look in the middle, and that can be very liberating for you to find yourself out of your own isolation. Um, one of the things that is just tremendous to do is to write a letter to yourself. And imagine, because it'd be great if we could get kids to do this, but imagine that you're 15 again, or 16 or whatever, 17, when you dreamed about your future, and write a letter to yourself talking about all the things you want to do and all the things you want to experience and explore. And then, without judgment, look at your life now, and what have you compromised, and what have you given up? What have you done just to survive? All of those things, what is still outlying on your list in your letter to yourself? What is it that, you haven't done yet, or haven't felt you've been able to do? And do you still want to? Is there a part of you such deep down, but it's not practical anymore? It's not practical to do those things. That was when I was a kid. The kid self in us, the young self in us, the one who dreams and the one who keeps exploring, even when everyone around them tells them it's not possible. That's the one that we should be having the relationship with, right? That's the one that gets us out of our isolation, out of our small cage, out of our pain and out of our misery. And if you are in a place of allowing, and you really want to do something that's in that letter to yourself, please do. Don't worry about the how. Don't worry about the how. When I think I've shared this before. I was afraid of flying. Then I got to go to Hawaii, and the April before I left, October for India. And I'd never been out of country, only to Canada. Years ago, before you needed a passport with Bruce. And everybody, there was a bunch of people who were going, then nobody was coming. And finally, one person, Mary Matson, who wasn't going to come, came. And look at how, when I was a place of allowing that, it was amazing. It was magical, and that's the way our lives can be. They can be magical. So whatever it is, if you are struggling with something, please write that letter to yourself. And, please take a chance on yourself. And dream. Dream again. Right? I think as we get older, we lose that dream, and because it's not practical, right? We've got to be adults now. So I just really urge you, please, 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 on your Friday, please don't be an adult. Write your letter. Get out of that small cage, and start to explore all the possibilities. And allow the universe to support you. Allow the universe to love you. Allow the universe to take that magical journey with you. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I love myself. I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful Friday and a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.